Mountain Coast has been all over social media with their incredible advertising that personally has sucked me in and made me want to pay attention to this shoe because of their unique marketing thing. A road shoe built for ultra runners going the distance, and some unique features that they had some proprietary language around that I said, you know what? I'm going to give these shoes a go. So I put in over 100 miles in the S1, and I have put in nearly 200 miles in the R1 to be able to give you guys a full breakdown of whether or not these shoes are worth the hype or we're just getting sucked in by some incredible social media marketing. There is one thing that reigns true. Just because you put together great ads doesn't mean you can make a great shoe. And so I'll give you the good, I'll give you the bad, and I'll give you my verdict of which of these shoes, for some reason, I keep reaching for as I'm wrapping up a long distance training block. Because they have some proprietary terminology like zero sag or go flow, which helps with the motion of the heel to toe, I'm just gonna give you the basics of the details so that way you guys can hear about it. First, we'll talk about the S1 coming in at 9.35 ounces, and it has a 10 millimeter drop with a 36 millimeter stack height in the heel, which is best described as their daily trainer shoe, which is for 14 minutes to 8-minute miles. Then we'll talk about their racing shoe, the R1, which is 8.5 ounces with a 35 millimeter stack height in the heel and an 8 millimeter drop. But for what it's made for, 100K or more miles in a race, or 13 to 6-minute pace, which I will touch on that a little bit later as we go through. So let's dive into what I absolutely love about these shoes. First and foremost, which is probably one of the most unique features of these shoes, is the lacing system. On this side, you have the S1, which you can see it has that traditional lacing system. Normal laces, lace them all the way up. You got your runner knots if you need them. Basics, nothing very different. When you move over to the racing shoe, the R1, you can see two very distinct different lacing systems. On the top, you would have your traditional laces, and on the bottom, you have this like triathlon pull bungee type laces. And that is one of the things that when I first put the shoe on, I was like, this is super bizarre. But if you think about what these shoes were built for, this shoe was built for ultra marathons, 100K or above. And what happens in ultra marathons is our feet swell, and they swell up, and you need to have space for your feet to expand. And I think Mountain Coast has done an incredible job with this to allow us to be in the same running shoe, but expand and allow that foot to kind of fill into the shoe, but not have to change the shoe on a regular basis. And it took me probably 2 to 3 runs to really figure out on my daily runs what I thought of that lacing system, because the traditional and the S1, normal, not a big issue. On the R1, it took me a few runs to get used to that lacing system. But once I did, I really found myself liking that lacing system for my easy runs. It just felt like really comfortable. It gave my foot room to breathe. The toe box in here, because of that, I think is a little bit more expanded. And the lacing system, although unique and took a moment for me to get used to, is something very good. Just as I done before, we're going to talk about the ride. S1, like, it's a daily trainer. And for what I like in my daily training, it's a little firm. Yeah, the toe box is wider because of what it's made for, but from a training perspective, this is just, a basic daily trainer. In the R1 though, I just got done with a really long training block, as I had mentioned before, and the ride on this shoe was so comfortable on my easy paces, my, mid 7s to mid 8-minute range, that after I would get done with a super hard workout on my Wednesdays or Saturdays, I would go to my closet to go find my easy day shoes, and for some reason I kept wanting to reach for this. And why is that? It is like, it's plush and cushion enough and soft enough to make your feet feel very comfortable, but you don't have that like sinking feeling in the extremely plush, extremely soft shoes. One of my favorite daily trainers to go out and do those same types of run is the Asics Glideride Max. And I found that this shoe was just a little bit more comfortable. It didn't have quite like kind of that propulsion or that push off as the Asics, but they're not designed for the same thing. I mean, this is an ultra running shoe. This is not a help you go run fast shoe. But the comfort of this ride, especially on tired legs, was absolutely phenomenal. And I really, really loved that aspect of it. The third thing that is good about both of these shoes, I mean, I'm over 100 miles in this shoe. I am nearly 200 miles in the R1. And they are holding up extremely well. I think one of the things that they do in their advertising is talk about one shoe, 600 miles, one shoe, 800 miles, or whatever it is. And they still have that bounce. They still have the cushion. They still have kind of a put together shoe look. I think the durability of these shoes, if you actually kind of broke down cost per mile, these shoes are going to go the distance. And yes, 160 for the R1, 150 for the S1. But I believe these shoes' durability is going to make them worth the cost of the shoe. So those are the good of the shoe. Now let me dive into what wasn't so great in the shoe. I'm going to take this in both the different shoes. The S1, as I described, to me, there's nothing special about this shoe. And at $150, I think the best thing you're getting from the shoe is just the durability. But it's pretty firm. I am not a firm shoe runner. I do not think that this shoe fits what I would look for in a daily trainer. If you are a firm shoe runner, this may be for you. But for me, the S1 is just not hitting the mark for what I personally need for a daily trainer shoe. As far as the R1, one of the runs that I went on, it really kind of was almost shockingly frustrating through it, is I went and I did 10 times 4 minute pickup paces where I was running around marathon pace, maybe half marathon pace on some of them. So I'm getting down to the 6:05 to all the way down to 5:40 on a couple of those 4 minute paces. And for some reason, I just didn't feel like I was getting the turnover. I didn't feel like I was getting the pop out of my legs that I normally would like. And I couldn't really figure it out and couldn't understand why, because I don't run in carbon plated shoes a lot. So it couldn't have been the carbon plated stuff. And it just wasn't coming off and very, very quick. And as I was going through, repetition 7, repetition 8, repetition 9, I realized I was having a harder time like getting all the way up on my toes like I would in a traditional, running shoe that I would do these workouts in. Think my New Balance Rebels or my Adidas SL2s or Boston lineup. And then I went on their website because I was writing up this review, and right there, right in the description of the shoe, best for 100K races and paces between 13 minutes and 6 minutes a mile. I will tell you that 6 minutes a mile in this shoe may be a stretch. But if you're looking for a shoe that's going to help you through your tempos and you're running in that under 7 minute pace all the way down, this shoe did not fit for me. So anytime I was picking up the pace in my runs and I was going to do a sub 7 minute mile or even in the 7:15 range, I did not reach for the shoe. It just felt a little sluggish, but that's because that's what the shoe is designed for, was to not run fast, which is why on all my easier steady days where I'm running 7.5 minutes or above, I would reach for this shoe through the entire training block. It was bizarre. Like, I don't know any other way to describe it other than the shoe just doesn't work at those paces. But I think that's okay, because that's what it was designed to do, is not run at those paces. Those are the negatives, and I think you can clearly hear what my verdict is on this shoe. If you're looking for a daily trainer, I'm not 100% sure I'd pick up this S1. Why would I pick up this S1? Only if you intend to race in the R1. They are very similar in the way that they ride on the foot, and if you don't want to run in something this soft the whole time, then I would get the S1. But for me, I don't think I'm ever going to get the S1 ever again. Now, the R1, on the other hand, I will 100% be getting these shoes again. If I'm going out and I'm planning to do a 100-miler or 100K, I will be buying this shoe because some of the roads that I run here are up and down and hilly, can really help me for my trail races. But if I'm doing a 100-mile road race or something like that, or 100K or 50K or even a 50-miler, this shoe is absolutely incredible. And I'll tell you, this was my number one used shoe through the duration of this training block that I'm in, and absolutely love it. Mount to Coast, I think you hit a winner here, and I can't wait to see what you guys continue to do with this shoe and potentially bringing something this great for me to take on the trails.